So I see that the chat function is currently not working. We're going to fix that in a little bit. So bear with us. In the meantime, we're going to start with our Tadamon Talks. So thank you everyone for joining our Tadamon Talks. I'm Svetla Baeva. I'm the communications lead with UNDP Europe and Central Asia, and I'm going to be moderating our session today. And as mentioned already, for those of you who just joined, we currently have both Arabic and French translation. So make sure to select what you need from the control panel at the bottom of the screen. That's the globe icon. And our Arabic translator was not able to join us last minute. So we have a colleague of ours from UNDP who's offered to fill in. So bear with us with the translation. And if you're here with us for the first time for our Tadamon Talks, you should know it's a webinar series that explores alternative finance for civil society empowerment. In our past series, we've covered a range of different topics. We've explored insights and learnings on crowdfunding and other related issues. We've looked at good practices for civil society capacity building, capacity strengthening, and we've been able to feature some prominent alternative finance experts in the field to share their experiences with us. So this initiative is powered by Tadamon. It's a cross-regional community platform for civil society empowerment. It's sponsored by the Islamic Solidarity Fund for Development and managed by the Islamic Development Bank and implemented by UNDP. So for today's Tadamon Talks, you'll learn a little bit more about some of the new initiatives at Tadamon. We've recently expanded our partnership with the Humanitarian Leadership Academy that we have with us here today. It's a learning entity that provides a range of award-winning learning initiatives from capacity strengthening to self-guided e-learning, both offline and online via their wonderful platform, Kaya. So our focus today will be on Tadamon's capacity strengthening hub that's hosted on Kaya. It has over 100 free online courses. You're going to hear a lot about this and how to access it. So just so you know, we're recording this session. We're also streaming it live on Facebook. You'll be able to, you can share it if you want. We'll also be sending the recording to you after this session in case you want to come back to anything, come back to any of the presentations that we'll share today. So I'd like now to give the word to our partners at the ISDB and ISFD for, of course, some short welcoming remarks, and after which they'll basically dive into the presentation about our capacity strengthening hub on Kaya. So I'd like to welcome Ismail Mohammed. He's the program coordinator at ISDB, and Ahmad Ibrahim, who's the Tadamon administrator at ISFD. And I'd like to, hand over to them to kind of kick us off.
Thanks, Sefla. What I'm going to do is, in fact, you've done most of the part. You've done the introduction, and also you walked us through the introductory part of the program. So I'm not going to deliver some welcome remarks. Rather, I will jump on the presentation to deliver. So shortly, I'm going to share my screen. So this is just, in fact, so not to waste more time. So basically, I would like to welcome everyone for joining us today here on this important webinar. I'd like to thank Tim Carpenter from HLA, also my colleagues from UNDP, as well as my colleague from ISFD, Brother Ahmed Ibrahim, and also the rest of CSOs who have been joining us from across the 57 member countries of ISDB, as well as around the globe. The scope of the program for NGOs empowerment for poverty reduction is, in fact, it's been developed based on the needs of the member countries, such as the poverty and armed conflicts that has been going on some parts of the ISDB member countries, also the refugees and displacements and influx of IDPs, such as the unemployment and also inequality and limited financing for CSOs, especially those at the grassroots level. This is aligned with the strategic alignment of the 10 years strategy of the bank, which is inclusive social development, and also the President 5-year plan, which of course we want, the bank is envisaged to be bank as network of developers. It's also aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. The objective of the program is in fact to empower NGOs to improve the socio-economic well-being of the hard-to-reach communities, through education, job creation, building resilience, and community livelihoods. So the overall scope of the program is 4 components that would include the mapping, where we actually conduct mapping across the 57 member countries, provided that the member country endorses the program. And also capacity building for NGOs, CSOs. So this webinar falls on the capacity building scope today. And also Tadamon platform, providing the Tadamon platform as a resource mobilization and partnership technology hub, and also supporting innovative and transformative projects at the grassroots level in member countries. The development let me just move this part. So the development results of the program is we're targeting 30,000 refugees and orphans that will have access to quality education and skills development. So also hard to reach communities is not only limited to the refugees and orphans, but rather people with disabilities, women, and also IDPs. So 30% of target communities empowered, 3,000 low-income families have access to community resilience building and livelihoods development. About 500 to 1,000 NGOs mapped and also their capacity strengthened. And also over 30 million of funds mobilized through access to innovative financing, such as partnership and also crowdfunding. So basically, I'd like to walk you through what Tadamon is. Tadamon is a new innovative partnership to strengthen CSOs across OIC member countries. Also, it connects CSOs to partners, to investors, to donors, and also other CSOs in the region to share knowledge, to communicate, and also to collaborate. It also offers funding and grant opportunities for CSOs projects that are innovative and also connected to the local needs of their member countries. It provides access to partnership networks, including crowdfunding platforms. It also gives CSOs the visibility they deserve via the Tadamon platform, its social media channels, and as well as media partnership. It's also, it's for the Tadamon platform is for such, as I did mention earlier, it's for donors looking to make an impact through Tadamon community members, because we have around, as of today, we have close to 2,000 CSOs registered to Tadamon, working in different fields such as education, climate change, resilience, livelihoods, health, agriculture, food security, water and sanitation, so forth and so on. It's also for governments as key partners in improving national ecosystem and also working on their national development plan, along with the local CSOs, organizations that are actually delivering the grassroots level work. Also, it's for national and international crowdfunding platforms. It's also for the new partners that would like to join with us to actually to deliver the SDGs. So I'm going to stop at this point, and I'd like to hand over this to Brother Ahmed to walk you through the technical part of the user journey. This was just the context of the program and what it is about, its scope, and what Tadamon is. and what's it and who is it for. Now, Ahmed is going to walk you through the user journey. The user journey for this actually particular capacity building scheme that we actually have here with us, our partner HLA. So he's going to walk you through how you access it, what you're going to do, and how you're going to register to have access to the courses that we want you to take. So, Brother Ahmed, welcome.
Welcome to all, and welcome to Brother Ismail.
I'll do the slides for you.
I can share it from my side.
Okay, then I'll close it.
Yeah. It's shared now.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Thanks to all, and welcome for everyone is joining us to that talk segment, and how can we start your e-learning journey and empower your CSOs to be have strengths in 4 parts that developed as a categories, as a leadership and partnership, inclusion, resource mobilization and management, project and program development management, and people management. So you can access it through our Tadamon.community. It's a website platform we created to collaboration between all CSOs. As a link is shown here in presentation, and also you can scan it through your mobile here as a QR code if you would like to access it through your mobile and see what you have that page, direct to that page. When you're accessing that page already, you have let's see, take the next slide. When you access it, actually, first one, you have to launch your browser, and later then you can write in the URL Tadamon.community, and that's open your website. And that website you can see here. You can click on program, and from that menu you will find the capacity strengths portal. You can click that link. It's open the page for that we built as a way you can connect to that hub, and click visit Kaya portal. After clicking that visit Kaya portal, actually you will guide you to another website. It's different from Tadamon. You have to create an account there, and this account should be take 1 minute to fill some information about your email, your name, your email, and some public information should be shared with Kaya. And after that, you will find email to your inbox.
Very sorry to interrupt you, Ahmad. It would be possible to come closer to the microphone so we hear you a little bit better. Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. When you create an account in Kaya, you should give an email confirmation automatically sent to you with link to confirm account. Sometimes it does not appear in inbox. You should be searched under your junk mails. So when you get this confirmation, you can directly access Kaya portal. After that, you can go to direct to that link, Kaya connect.org/Tadamon, Tadamon capacity strengths hub, and click in that green button. That will direct you to the course. They're asking you the password. The password to joining is called Tadamon. You can write it down this password because you don't have to lose that. It's called Tadamon. And also when you click this, you automatically get a confirmation to your email about accessing this course, and automatically you have access to that and start your journey to learn. Details of how to start with this course and things, my user guide will send it later on by emails to all CSOs. So that's it as a simple how to can connect and access the course and get details and how to start an e-learning journey with that. Thank you. Over to you, Vanessa.
Svetla?
At the end of your presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to share the link from this presentation here so that you can go directly to the Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Hub using the password Tadamon. Yes, so that you can see a little bit more about what's behind the program. The initiative, you can see the courses that you can access and so forth. So I think you can stop sharing the screen. Thank you so much for the presentation. Please go ahead and go to the link to learn more. So now we're going to take a couple of questions if there are regarding the initiative. Let me just see what's popped up in the Q&A chat. So we're going to take a couple of questions, maybe couple of minutes before we move on to the second part of our the agenda today. Yeah, so we'll be sharing the presentations, the link to the presentation, also the recording to all of you that have registered and have attended. So no worries about that. Yes, okay. Are there any other questions? We apologize, there was a bit of a technical glitch earlier, I think, during the presentation. Yes, like I said, you will be receiving the slides as well. So the slides, the presentation, and the recording. So if we don't have any other questions regarding this now, feel free to email us if you have any questions regarding the Capacity Strengthening Hub that's on Kaya at the moment. So I think we can go on to our panelist discussion that's going to be focused on e-learning and its role and impact for capacity strengthening. So we've planned a short discussion with Ismail Mohammed from Program Coordinator ISDB, with Rawad Risk, Project Manager at UNDP, and Tim Carpentier, Learning Solutions Specialist at Humanitarian Leadership Academy. And since we've already heard from Ismail, I'd like to give the word first to Tim and Rawad to present themselves and the capacity strengthening initiatives that they're working on. And we can possibly start with you, Tim, and then we can move on to Rawad.
Sure, yeah, happy to jump in now. Really nice to be with everyone on this call today. It's really great to see all the different participants who are going to be potentially taking part in the Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Learning Hub. So thanks so much for joining. And yeah, so I'm Tim. I work with the Humanitarian Leadership Academy, and I have the pleasure of working with ISTB on this great project. So I'm going to share my screen now. Just pull up a couple of different slides.
We see it.
Great. So at the Humanitarian Leadership Academy, we're basically a capacity strengthening organization that, pulling out my notes here so I have them handy. We're essentially a capacity strengthening organization that's providing learning for humanitarians all around the world. So a lot of our work is actually focused towards humanitarians, but a lot of it is relevant to people working in sort of longer term international development. So we provide a variety of different types of learning solutions. Some of that is online. Oh, sorry, my screen is going a little fast here. I think I was pushing a button with my notes. Yeah, basically we provide a variety of different learning solutions. Some of it's face-to-face, some of it's online. And basically what it comes down to is how can we do more localized, promote more localized leadership and more localized learning. We have, we're kind of based in the UK, but we have regional hubs in Asia, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and North Africa, in West and Central Africa. So we have a variety of different hubs all over the world where we're trying to promote localized learning and capacity strengthening solutions. We have partnerships with a variety of different organizations. So some of that is working on creating and curating content together for these capacity strengthening solutions. Some of it is through universities. For example, we have an Education in Emergencies professional development program that has a partnership with Geneva University where people can get credit towards a master's degree in education in emergencies. So we have a variety of different sorts of collaborations in that way. So our vision is really a world where people have the capabilities to handle crises. This comes back to the really key localization aspect of the work that we do. So localized responders, who are usually always the first people to respond to crises, have those capabilities to respond and deliver high quality, accountable emergency responses. Our mission really comes back to kind of preparing and responding people and providing those capacity strengthening opportunities so that those opportunities exist and are either free or of low cost. And our values mainly come back to accountability, decolonization, and localization. So much, obviously, as you know, there's been so much focus in recent years about decolonizing international development work and localizing humanitarian work. So much of our work is focused on that somewhere else. If you give me 1 second, I think that might actually be embedded in my slide somewhere. Sorry about this. Great. All right, so on Kaya, which is our learning management system that we have online. We have actually pretty close to 1,000 free courses. There might actually be over 1,000 now. We're constantly adding to them. Within the hub, there's about 100 courses that we've curated within this particular hub. But overall on Kaya, as Ahmad Ibrahim mentioned, it's you can create a free account and access all these different courses. So there's close to 1,000 there. We've reached over 500,000 learners through Kaya, so we really have a really global reach in terms of who's taking this content. This is just putting up a little quick screen grab of the homepage of Kaya. You can search through based on topic, based on language, and a variety of different things that you'd like to learn about. We accredit learning through HPass. HPass is an organization that creates digital badges to accredit learning. So they function kind of like certificates, but really the idea here is to create something that you can share online, is stored in a digital wallet essentially, and it really captures, it really makes sure that learning is of a high quality. The Humanitarian Leadership Academy has to sort of pass certain requirements in order to be a member of HPass, which means that the learning is of a high standard. And as I mentioned before, we create a lot of original content that within the Academy ourselves through different grant funding, but then we also curate content. So if another organization has created something that was really great, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to put that content up there so that it exists and we can sort of collaborate with other organizations that way. The one screenshot that I've put up in the top right there, so my presentation just keeps going on its own. I'm not sure why it's doing that, but so for the field program in the top right there, this is a program that we created ourselves, and it's won a couple of different awards through the Learning Technologies Awards based in the UK. And again, this sort of looks at mid-level and senior level managers working in humanitarian crises and all the different operational skills that they'll need. That's one quick example of some of the award-winning content that we have on the hub, and some of that content as well as part of the Tadamon hub. I think I'll end it there and then see if there are any questions.
Thank you, Tim. I think I'll pose this one question because it's popped up right now. Are all the courses on Kaya online or are some in person?
So everything on Kaya, excuse me, everything on Kaya is online. The Humanitarian Leadership Academy does offer a lot of kind of in-person and blended learning opportunities. So sometimes if it's a blended course, we may have people kind of do some of the online courses, and then they would do sort of a residential piece of learning in person. But yeah, everything on Kaya is online. I see a question in French there about smartphones. So yes, the Kaya is available through an app that you can download for free, and that will work on Android and iPhone. Yeah, so you might have to, one option you can do is you can actually, if you find a course that you like, you can actually download that content when you're connected to the internet. And then when you, if you're in a low connectivity area, you can still access that course as long as you've downloaded it when you have access to the internet. So that's one way we've tried to provide that sort of low internet connectivity response, because we know in a lot of the places you're working, there is very limited bandwidth and connection. That's one option there. It does require some planning ahead of time.
Super. I think we can go over to Rawat.
Thank you, Svetla. Hello, everyone. My name is Rawat Reza. Happy to see you all. I will not open my camera because my connection is a bit slow, so it won't cut off. So really excited. I think my colleagues before showed some really interesting stuff. An overview about Tadamon. I'll go a little bit into the details. So we mainly have two major components. One of them is the capacity building. So we'll talk about the Crowdfunding Academy in a bit. We have the accelerator, and we have the online training, which Tim on HLA, which Tim just described. The second major component is related to funding, visibility, and networking, and this is what we're trying to do. So part of Tadamon, there's direct grant through a call for proposal for CSOs. This is an activity that comes later on after we finish the academy. We do support all CSOs, all campaigns that are part of our community on the website. So if you go to the Tadamon.community, you will see the campaigns that we have published so far. We also have social media, and we have our booklet. So we're really trying to create a platform for like-minded organizations to support them, and also possibly to link them to donors and supporters. So this is our website. I encourage everyone to go on the sign up button, top right, and create your profile. This is something that will take a few minutes. So we really encourage you to do that. Maybe we can add the link in the chat in a bit. So what is the Crowdfunding Academy? So basically what we're trying to do is to cover an area of pain for everyone. And this is funding, right? So if we, all the CSOs that we work with, I think the main, and you guys know that the main pain is getting funds. There are plenty of good ideas, expertise in the implementations. There's a lot of need, but the missing part is the funding. This is why we established the Crowdfunding Academy, and we're implementing it in different countries. So far, we have 10 countries where we have the Crowdfunding Academy, and we've developed the online training focusing mainly on crowdfunding. So we want to support CSOs to mobilize resources through the mass, not just by reaching out to one donor. So right now we have the CFA in countries like Lebanon, Palestine, Tunisia, Somalia, Kazakhstan, Indonesia, and every year we add additional countries. The training program usually take around 8 weeks, so somewhere between 8 to 10 weeks, and we provide one-on-one mentorship for the CSOs. So it's really an exciting thing. The content was developed by experts from our team. So even if you have zero idea about how to create a crowdfunding campaign, or if you don't even know what crowdfunding is, so we start with the basics, and then we move to how to tell your story, how to write a press release, how to use your social media channels to optimize your message, how to create a nice emotional video. It's really practical, so it's not just theoretical. So we start the training with your idea. So we do launch a call for proposal to select the CSOs, and based on the project idea that you have, we develop it into a crowdfunding platform. So it's basically you're working on your own idea, and we're helping you to raise funds for that specific idea. So very quickly, as I said, we have 10 academies, 233 CSOs trained so far, and we have around 60 campaigns. You can check on the website. The Accelerator is another training program. This is more advanced, so we're talking about 14-week intensive online program. We have a bunch of professionals that will be supporting one-on-one mentorship, and there's also a component of direct financial support, which is part of the Accelerator. So we're working on our booklet. So definitely this is something that we will publish, and it's kind of creating profiles and what we're doing for the CSOs. I also encourage you to visit our social media channels, so you can find everything on the website and follow us on Insta, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. That's it from my part. Thank you. Over to you, Svetla.
Thank you so much, Rawad. So before we dive into the interesting part of our panel discussion, we're going to have a couple of questions that we're going to direct to our panelists. Let's just see what type of questions have come in so that we can answer those, especially those ones that are a bit more technical. So the courses are free and there is certification. Tim has answered this question in the actual chat. And yes, Uganda is one of the Crowdfunding Academy countries. No, it's part of the OIC member countries, but maybe Rawad can say if it is one of the countries we're currently working in, as we're launching in different countries, various crowdfunding academies.
Sorry, which country is it?
Uganda.
Uganda is on our list. The thing is that we choose around 7 priority countries each year. So I think Uganda will be, it's not for sure yet. Maybe we can check with our colleagues at ISTB Ismail, but it's there. So I think at some point we can announce it so you can join.
Super. So yeah, if you sign up for our newsletter on Tadamon, you'll receive updates on our new initiatives, including our future crowdfunding academies. So without further ado, we're going to jump into some of the questions that we've prepared for the panelists today. And the last couple of years all around the world, COVID has really changed the way we changed education, disrupted education. And this has also impacted informal learning. And I wanted to start this off to the whole panel. So Ismail, Rawad, Tim, how do you think COVID-19 and perhaps any other kind of emergencies, especially in different regions, how do you think COVID-19 specifically has impacted e-learning, remote learning, especially from your perspective?
Yeah, Svetla, before we just answer the question you asked, can I just interrupt and say a few things here?
Yes, sure.
I've seen some of the CSOs do not understand. I think because of, obviously, I would expect this from the CSOs. They don't actually, they think that there's some, from their part, there's a mix up between the Kaya courses on the platform, HLA Kaya, and what we have invested in. And here, the objective of this webinar is, in fact, to reach out to CSOs and make them understand that this is an investment from ISDB, ISFD, in partnership with HLA to strengthen the capacities of the CSOs based on learning needs assessment that we conducted, that we carried out. So it's not something like out of the blue. Rather, this is something, an investment that we made based on the needs of the CSOs, that we actually collected their feedback across 12 member countries of ISDB, in 4 areas, such as the project management, or program management, resource mobilization, leadership management, so forth, so on. There's just 4 components on the platform. So this is an investment we made, not something just like out of the blue for free, but also there are unlimited courses that are available. There are few things that that will meet your needs. You can actually have access to, but this is just an investment. So that's all I have to make it clear. Back to you, please.
Thank you, Ismail, for this really important clarification that yes, on the Tadamon hub on Kaya, you'll find specific courses rooted in these 4 areas, which you can enter through the link that was provided earlier, but I'm sure we can drop it again in the chat so that you can access Tadamon's hub as part of Kaya. So I think we can come back to the beginning of our panelist discussion. If you want, Ismail, you can kick off with any thoughts you have regarding how COVID-19 has impacted e-learning and remote learning.
Okay, well, obviously, I'll go back to the question that you answered. So from our experience, I would say that the e-learning has been, a key difference to actually, to make organizations, big or small, understand that technology is an enabler that can actually make a difference during the most difficult time or during the crisis, such as COVID-19, especially if I just put that at the perspective of the CSOs and also NGOs with limited budget and also across different geographical locations. This has been a blessing in disguise, the e-learning, and through which I'm sure they benefit in terms of collaboration, communication. So not only them, but also the big organizations. So e-learning is something that can actually is somehow something that could actually meet the needs of the situation that we were in during the crisis, during the COVID crisis. So you are at home, you are a click away, you can have access to unlimited courses or trainings that are tailored to your needs, and then yet collaborate with different colleagues in different geographical locations. That has been, I would say, that has been also a game changer for the non-profit organizations. Yeah, back to you, Sadia.
Thank you. Any other thoughts from the other panelists?
Yeah, I could jump in here. So just to echo that point about sort of this democratization of learning. I mean, when people couldn't learn in real life, well, I mean, online is real life as well, but when people couldn't learn face-to-face, we saw a huge jump in terms of the amount of learners. We went from about 280,000 learners on Kaya at the end of 2020 to over 500,000. So in that span of a year and a half, we've kind of increased exponentially. And so a big part of that is because more people can access this learning, and especially when there were not opportunities to do face-to-face learning. From sort of an equality, diversity, and inclusion point of view, we know that in a lot of organizations, women and younger staff, and specifically younger women staff, lack access to training opportunities. A lot of times in organizations, those training opportunities go to more senior staff who tend to be men. So I find that, we found that through the online learning, a lot of groups who didn't necessarily have access to training before have been able really to access more learning through COVID as everything went online. And I will also extend that to sort of women-led, youth-led, refugee-led organizations. We know that these organizations often have the least access to funding out there. They get some of the smallest pockets of funding, so often don't have the opportunities to pay for capacity strengthening opportunities. So again, part of our localized and decolonized approach, where we're trying to integrate equality, diversity, and inclusion into all of our work, means that offering these courses for free allows both organizations who couldn't afford to pay for face-to-face capacity strengthening opportunities to access learning, as well as specific groups within organizations who might be excluded from face-to-face learning, can then just do it for free on their own. Of course, that requires time, and we know that women specifically have a lot of work to do with care work, housework, that sort of thing, that isn't recognized. So finding the time to do that is definitely a challenge. But we have found increases as a result of the pandemic in terms of having access to more diverse learners, and also just reaching many more people. And then one other quick thing I would say is just, at the very start of the pandemic, when nobody was going out, we had a lot of sort of community leaders even delivering humanitarian response, and those might have been people who would consult with community-based organizations. But because even those community-based organizations couldn't go, I'm thinking of an example in Jordan, going into some of the refugee camps in the north. Some of those community leaders who were very close were supporting with some of that response, and they reached out to us to get some of that training and capacity because they hadn't necessarily done that before. They would have been more a key stakeholder to discuss with organizations, but even those community-based organizations who could not reach remote communities and isolated communities, and also communities in refugee camps, they were the ones who were there supporting that response. And so that quick little bit of capacity enabled them to go and do what they needed to do.
But Tim, we kind of missed the physical training after these 2 years. So definitely, I mean, I've participated in more trainings because that was the only option right now, since we're able to travel more or to meet. So I think it's it's a hybrid model that we can use, but definitely online training is staying and it's growing. And I think it's also affecting the environment in a positive way. So instead of bringing, like a bunch of people to a place and, people traveling and meeting and all of that, we're able to connect instantly from different continents, from different places. And I think we had the chance, personally, I had the chance to meet a lot of experts, a lot of interesting people in the past during the pandemic. So I think that there's a positive aspect to it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rawad. Yes, absolutely. So COVID was on the one hand a catalyst in terms of digitally transforming traditionally some offline educational initiatives, but at the same time also pushing learning and giving people more space to learn. So yeah, but we do wish to have more hybrid events and offline.
Can I just a really quick comment on that? Because I agree. I think a blended model tends to be the most effective. So what we've seen a lot of people doing is doing some of that online content as the foundation, and then so that the face-to-face learning can actually go to the next level. But I'm sure we've all been in trainings where you're face-to-face and you're thinking, this is a bit basic, I could have read this document. So this is a way to kind of really increase the value of that face-to-face time, because it's so sacred. It's more expensive to travel now, it's more difficult. So when we are face-to-face, it's really good if we can all have a foundation of learning that can be done online, so that when we are face-to-face, it's much more, we can go into much more depth.
Thanks so much, Tim. So it would be interesting to know a little bit more, Ismail, about why you chose those 4 thematic areas for the courses that are part of the Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Hub. Why focus? Did you identify particular needs among civil society organizations? It will be interesting to know for the audience as well why those thematic areas were chosen, and perhaps whether you plan to expand them further. We can't hear you. No, we still can't hear you. Okay. So while we're waiting for Ismail, possibly maybe something with headphones, or we can, does anyone else, for example, what else do you think about in terms of CSO needs and gaps and skills? What are the current gaps that you're identifying that civil society organizations need in comparison to other regions, perhaps?
Areas that we identified as a gap in terms of capacities from the CSOs that we actually engaged with across 12 member countries of the ISDB group member countries. And this include the leadership management, it included project management, it included the resource mobilization, and another component that I think Tim is going to help me to remind me of. So it's just 4 components that we have identified as a skill gap based on the learning needs assessment and the questionnaires that we ask CSOs. So these are the areas that vast majority of the CSOs in ISDB member countries are dire need. And this is the reason why even Tadamon has been designed on that evidence-based actually and fact-based engagement we had with the CSOs. So back to you.
Sorry, apologies. I had a glitch in my speaker. Yes.
But I hope it's been heard. Vast majority of the participants.
From what I understand, it has.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Anyone else from the panelists want to take a stab at civil society needs and skills that have been identified? And just before you take the word, perhaps Tim, I'd like to invite anyone in the audience because we have with us nearly 80 organizations at the moment listening to us, and it would be great to hear some of the needs they need in terms of capacity strengthening and capacity building. It would be great if you can drop that in the chat if you have any ideas, any needs that you have that maybe we can reflect in future initiatives. So over to you, Tim, while we have the audience writing in the chat.
Sure, thanks for that. Yeah, I could just mention actually the Humanitarian Leadership Academy just produced a rather large report on global capacity strengthening needs of civil society organizations. I can paste a link to that in a moment in the chat. But first I can just say some of the main things that came out from that. Were leadership was a really big one. So specific things about guiding individuals and teams, team management, encouragement, came out sort of that broader people management piece, came out as one of those key needs of civil society organizations all around the world. Project management was also the other main one. So project management, including resource management and resource mobilization. So key things that came out under there were project design, proposal design, report writing, and financial literacy. So these were some of the really essential things. Obviously, we know with smaller organizations, well, with every organization, it's quite challenging to get that funding. So figuring out how to write the best proposal, figuring out how to design a program that is nuanced, that is accountable, that is adhering to all the humanitarian standards and principles, that integrates equality, diversity, and inclusion is really important. So we found those were some of the key ones. And yeah, also specifically equality, diversity, and inclusion was one of those key areas. So things on gender equality, things on integrating responses, integrating sort of activities to respond to people with disabilities, older people, understanding the dynamics between refugee and host populations, and a variety of different sort of different identities that people have that may exclude them from accessing services. So I'll paste a link to that in the chat. But those were some of the main findings from that report that we commissioned.
Thank you so much. Rawad, do you have anything to add?
No, I think Tim summed it up very well. I just want to say that it's really important for CSOs. I mean, we need fund. We know that funding is one of the main issue they face, but also, and this is something Tim talked about, CSOs need to organize themselves a little bit, how to write a proposal, how to report to donors. And we've worked with many CSOs where everyone's doing everything. I think it's really good to, have it kind of like a diagram, have the role set, who's doing what, who's in charge of communication, who's in charge with the media, or who's in charge with writing these proposals. I think we have to treat the CSO as a professional organization internally, and then you'll see really good results if you do that. Thanks so much, Rawad. And just maybe a final wrap-up question as we're coming to the end of the webinar. And I think there's some additional questions that we have regarding the Tadamon Capacity Strengthening Hub. Just what are some of the lessons learned for each of you in terms of e-learning, remote learning, online educational initiatives? What's your biggest takeaway? I mean, each of you have had such initiatives in the past years. It would be interesting. Where is that taking you? Any insights? Anything that's informing your policies or future programs?
Svetla, did you ask me the question that I had to answer, which was the impact that we have been seeing from the e-learning nonprofits, and also what motivates support such an initiative as a donor from ISPB?
No, go ahead, Ismail.
Yeah, sure. So that was the question. I thought that was the question before the question that you asked us, so that I had to answer. So, well, I think you can first of all paraphrase the question, and then I can answer so that we relate with the CSOs. Over to you. Yeah.
No, go ahead. You can.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I just jumped onto another question because of time, but go ahead.
No problem.
It would be super interesting to hear from your ISTB perspective.
Yeah, no problem. In fact, the question about the impact and from the perspective of the e-learning, and also the what motivates us, I can actually wrap it up by saying, in fact, this was about impact and also ability to reach more diverse CSOs with varied needs in different geographical locations across the 57 member countries of ISDB, which is so important for us, particularly for small and medium-sized organizations who have arguably faced greater difficulties and challenges in adapting to the new environment in which we operate in, particularly in terms of their financial skills and also limited resources. So the small and medium-sized organizations are the lifeblood of the CSO sector in our perspective, with major intimate knowledge and understanding to the local needs and issues, and also their ability to form strong bonds with local communities and people in need. So it's important that as the CSO's roles change and develop, in fact, we prepare and support the CSO sector to meet the challenges ahead and also thrive into the future. And this is the reason why we invested, Tadamon CFA, Tadamon Kaya with HLA, and we hope this will make a huge difference to actually enable CSOs deliver interventions at the grassroots level in their member in their member countries, respectively. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Ismail. And yes, so this capacity building scheme program, which is an investment by ISDB, we also expect to be of immense help to organizations that we're working with. Of course, this is done in partnership with Humanitarian Leadership Academy through the Kaya portal. And we shared the link a couple of times, but the Tadamon Hub on Kaya, but we'll share that in a follow-up email that we'll send over to you. Since, in the interest of time, since we have 1 or 2 minutes left, I'd maybe share some more technical questions that are still left. In terms of, are the sessions, the courses, Ismail, that are on Kaya, on the Tadamon Hub on Kaya, are they pre-recorded or are they live educational sessions?
Tim, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, sure. So I've tried to answer some of the questions in the chat as well. So I tried to put the name of the person before. So the way the courses work is they're all self-directed. So when you open up one of the courses, you move through the content itself. So you complete activities, you read some content, you might do a little bit of a quiz, watch a short video, that sort of thing. So it's all at your own pace. Once you sign up to the course, once you go into the hub and you open the course, then you move through at your own pace. So it's all already in there. And I mentioned in the chat as well, if you have low bandwidth, you can download the app on your phone and you can download the course as well. And you can then access that when you're offline potentially, but it requires that planning.
Super. And one final question in terms of language, are the courses on the Tadamon Hub on Kaya, are they going to be only in English, or are we seeing other languages there accessible as well?
Sure, I appreciate that question. Unfortunately, most of the courses on Kaya are in English. However, we have a lot of courses in different languages. So primarily French, Arabic, Spanish, and English are sort of the main languages. We are doing some work for supporting the Ukraine response. So we're doing some Ukrainian, some Russian, and some Polish as well for some different courses on the overall platform. We are also, for this project, working on some translation of some of the key courses into different languages as well. So we're still defining exactly which courses and which languages, but we're also working on that. We do recognize that we need more content in different languages. It's just extremely expensive. So that's one of the challenges of doing that translation. Ismail, did you want to comment on that too?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Before, I think since we are at the end of the webinar, I'd like to ask a question, the CSOs. I'd like to know how many of you today here with us, how many of you have actually created an account with Tadamon Kaya portal? How many of you have created an account, or you haven't? I would just like to, to hear from few organizations, or not all of you, but those who actually have done so, if there is any. If not, and you haven't created an account with Tadamon Kaya, then I'd like to remind each and every one of you that the first step is to actually become a member of Tadamon community. So www.tadamon.community. My colleagues can actually write that to you through the chat. So the first step is that you become a member of Tadamon community, and then it's through Tadamon community. Yes, okay, excellent. So then, if you are a member of Tadamon community, what you need to do is then follow the steps. Create the account, and the slides, whatever that we have shown you, you just walk through that, and then obviously create the account. But the essence of this webinar is for you to join Tadamon Kaya as early as possible, to enroll, to register. That's the essence. So we emphasize and motivate you, and we encourage you to do so, please. And also do the word of mouth, spread this through across your networks. We want that Tadamon Kaya to blink for the coming 2 weeks, whether it's blue or red. Yeah, we will manage it. But please get registered, get involved. Yeah, back to you, Sir.
Thank you so much, Ismail. Yes, register for the Tadamon community, become a member, and you get to access different opportunities and different initiatives, such as our strengthening hub, capacity strengthening hub that is on Kaya. So I think it's time to wrap up. We're a bit overdue and possibly most of you are rushing to other meetings. So I'd like to thank our wonderful panelists today and also our audience that stayed with us until the end. As mentioned already, we'll be sending a recording of today's session and a follow-up email along with the Google Slides so that you have access to the steps of how to sign up for Tadamon, sign up for the hub on Kaya. And we are also planning to have a Tadamon talk at the end of August that's going to be focused on crowdfunding in Africa. We're going to be joined by some of the leaders of the largest platforms in the region. So stay tuned for updates about that as well. So thank you, everyone. And it was lovely having you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Happy learning.